big stage. Them air guns be exciting. Anybody can let off these type of rounds, because they don't come with indictments.
Surf was picked up in Jersey City. He was at a home there with a female. The sources say that the house was surrounded by law enforcement and that Tsu Surf with the female tried to go out the back door. But then when they went outside, they saw that there was a lot of law enforcement because you know what kind of presence they're going to take on a case like this.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're going to be in the streets, lock in, be focused, because it's real. You got cops, you got ops, if you going to rap, you got to rap, my nigga. Like, you can't make one in, one out. It's very, very detrimental.
Yo, face! Yo, your face, please, with sugar on top!
Alright y'all, now we've covered Tsu Surf briefly on this platform, but we never went in depth with what's currently going on with him and what led him to facing time in federal prison due to mistakes that he made, all whilst gaining national attention. I say that because for y'all that do know Tsu Surf, more than likely you know him from battle rap and you know his story. You know he's been in the streets because he's had notable run-ins with the law to prove so. Only difference is before, he had to. This time around with the charges that Tsu Surf is facing and the severity of his case, most people are wondering why he decided to take the route that he's taken, just as things seem to be looking up for him in his rap career. It's even more shocking to hear that Tsu Surf was involved in anything illegal, mainly because he isn't like the typical rapper who doesn't know right from wrong and spend their time trying to convince the world that they're about that life by crashing out just to prove it. So what will make Tsu Surf at the top of his career decide he want to partake in the street life and throw it all away, knowing that he has a family dependent on him and the stakes against him were high? We're going to get into a video describing this whole situation. Shout out to 504 Street Stories and Gangsta News Network. I'll leave a link to the original video pinned in the comments, so if you like what you see, go check out their platform and subscribe to their channel. But in the meantime, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm, and if you're not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it.
Deal with this gang violence issue and its impact on quality of life. We've talked to the public safety director in the city of New York, Anthony Ambrose, many times about this, and you work closely with Anthony and his team. Talk about the connection between quality of life and gang violence.
The way that law enforcement overall, the state AG's office, the local county prosecutors, the United States Attorney's Office was dealing with gang violence was reactive enforcement.
And let me tell y'all, right, before it continues, for you to be doing anything illegal in New Jersey, you gotta have the balls of steel. I'm gonna tell you right now, New Jersey does not play when it comes to their laws. If you live in the tri-state area, more like New York, they're a little lenient, as whereas if you're in New Jersey, they're not as lenient with the same charges. Something you may get a slap on the wrist for in New York, it may be a couple years in New Jersey. And their booking process is even weird because they don't have, you go straight to jail there. There's no booking and waiting, and no, you go straight to jail until your next court date.
When somebody like Tsu Surf get in trouble, he got a lot to lose.
All right, rapper Tsu Surf facing a judge today after being indicted in a federal racketeering case.
Yeah, if convicted, he could be spending many years behind bars.
Crazy. Whole RICO charge.
In the shadows of Newark, where ambition and struggle intertwined, a federal storm was brewing. A storm that would shake one of the most notorious sets in the East Coast street legacy, the New Jersey Rolling 60s Crips. Known for their presence in cities like Los Angeles, the Rolling 60s Crips had extended their reach to New Jersey. evolving into a hybrid set of militancy and entrepreneurial ambition, some legal, some not. But in October of 2023, that empire began to crumble. The FBI, in collaboration with local law enforcement and federal prosecutors, unsealed a sweeping indictment targeting the heart of the New Jersey Rolling 60s. Dozens of alleged gang members were named in the RICO case, a term now synonymous with dismantling entire criminal networks. Conspiracy, racketeering, drug trafficking, and gun charges littered the documents. But one name stood out, a name better known in rap battles than in courtrooms: Tsu Surf. Government name Rajon Cox, a lyrical icon, a Newark native, and now a federal defendant. Tsu Surf wasn't just a rapper, he was a symbol. To fans, he represented grit, pain, and poetic street wisdom. But to the feds, he was allegedly a high-ranking member of the Rolling 60s. The indictment alleged Tsu Surf used his fame and platform to help launder drug proceeds, facilitate communications, and maintain the gang's dominance in Newark and surrounding areas.
Now, you know what that is, right? A lot of these guys, they come from the streets. The problem is, when they come from the street and get some type of fame or notoriety and they get a little money, instead of putting that money into something positive, the first thing they do is what they know. And it does sound crazy, but it just is what it is. This is why they say some people are a product of their environment. They only gonna do what they know. So if you was young, right, trying to come up and you hear, yo, buy a brick or buy this, flip this and make this amount of money, and you don't have that much money to do it, then when you finally get some money, the first thing you're thinking about is not about buying property. It's not about investing in a business. It's not about investing in stocks or none of that. It's about getting more drugs and dishing it out and making money that way, because that's the only way you know. It sounds sad, right? But at the end of the day, it's all you know. A lot of us don't know financial literacy. We didn't grow up knowing that, yo, take this money, put it into this, it's gonna build over time. We don't know that. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying this happens a lot. And, you know, here's a clear example of that.
Everybody, I'm Lisa Evers, full-time investigative journalist for Fox 5 News in New York, and also host of Street Soldiers, which you see on Fox 5, which you see on YouTube, Fox Soul, and also here on Task Force, and charged in a federal indictment in a RICO case.
Wiretaps, surveillance, social media, and ultimately cooperation from informants. It all built the framework for a years-long investigation, one that prosecutors said would finally dismantle a violent criminal enterprise. At the core of the RICO case was a series of violent retaliations, armed robberies, firearm recoveries, even connections to unresolved shootings, all linked directly or indirectly to maintaining the set's power structure.
So they're saying that Tsu Surf was picked up in Jersey City. He was at a home there with a female. The sources say that the house was surrounded by law enforcement and that Tsu Surf with the female tried to go out the back door. But then when they went outside, they saw that there was a lot of law enforcement, because you know what kind of presence are going to take on a case like this. So Tsu Surf and the woman went back into the house, and they stayed in there for about an hour in what the law enforcement officials call a barricade. They say he was barricaded inside. It doesn't mean that he was nailing down doors or windows or anything like that. It just means he was inside the home and not willing to come out right away. So they called in these hostage negotiators. They're called crisis negotiators from the U.S. Marshals, New York, New Jersey Fugitive Task Force. They talked with him for a while, quite a while apparently, but then he peacefully surrendered.
For Tsu. All right, so how that story went was when they went to go get Tsu Surf, of course it was unannounced. Of course he was surprised. And what happened was, I guess he tried to leave with the girl he was with out the back, right? They tried to escape out the back, whatever movie stuff I guess he was trying to do. But the problem is, you know, when they come, SWAT or U.S. Marshals, they don't just come 1, 2, or 3. They come a bunch of them depending on the case. And that's exactly what happened with him. Now, I don't know if he was unaware of that, who knows? But at the end of the day, he went back in the house with the girl. They stayed there for some time, and then finally he came out and surrendered. But at the end of the day, he probably was just saying his goodbyes. You know, he probably didn't even think that this would happen. And here's another thing, a rumor that was going around. A lot of people feel that Tsu Surf didn't do anything directly, But the fact that he was caught up in the RICO, what happens now is you're a part of whatever gang you are a part of. So let's say you're a part of the Rolling 60s. If you affiliate yourself with a certain somebody or a couple people that's doing X, Y, and Z, you're in pictures with them, they know you have clear affiliation with them. What happens now is y'all become an entity. This is why a lot of people are getting charged with RICOs, because now they're not playing with these gangs. Before it was just the Italians and the mob. They say, you know what? Let's crack down on these gangs and dismantle them that way. So now what happens is they're not just taking down 1, 2, or 3 people. Nah, they're taking down 5, 10 people and putting them all in this RICO, and they're all getting charges and spending a whole bunch of time in jail.
Tsu Surf, the writing had been on the wall. He hinted at federal pressure in past interviews. Some say he knew the walls were closing in. Others believe he never thought it would go this far.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're gonna be in the streets, lock in, be focused, because it's real. You got cops, you got ops, if you're gonna rap, you gotta rap, my nigga. Like, you can't make one in, one out. It's very, very detrimental. You feel me? It's very detrimental. It's very detrimental.
So either he should have took his own advice, or when he was speaking from that perspective right then and there, he already knew that something was going on, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if you got a good lawyer, or if you just got your ear to the street with the right people or right entities, quote unquote, you know what's coming because they fill you in. Not only that, you done heard about this guy getting locked up. You heard he might have told, they calling back, this might have, who knows? But he sounded like he was talking from a place where he knew that something was coming. It was just a matter of time.
2022 arrest by a SWAT team broadcasted on social media in real time was a grim prelude to the indictment. Fans watched in disbelief as the man known for lyrical warfare was now facing real-life battles in a federal courtroom.
It's easy to put in work on this stage. Them air guns be exciting. Anybody can let off these type of rounds because they don't come with indictments. Indictments.
The feds alleged that he held the rank of shot caller, a term used to describe someone who gave orders within the set. But what raised eyebrows was how much of Tsu Surf's real life overlapped with his music. Prosecutors claimed his lyrics weren't fiction. They were confessions, from coded references to gang hierarchy to specific events. His songs were entered as evidence.
Typically what's happening, Lisa, is the government is still continuing ongoing investigations. When you're dealing with these multi-defendant indictments, just because you have a certain set of names on any particular indictment, there's usually and often a lot of names that are not yet on that indictment and that are still being investigated. So at times the government doesn't want to bring a lot of attention to the fact that maybe some criminal acts that one person was involved in could give rise to the second person saying, oh, if the first person's been arrested, it may be time for me to flee. So what the government will do in order to not have to deal with that is keep a lot of these indictments sealed such that when they're secret, people don't necessarily know that law enforcement may be looking for them.
Oh, so right there, he just gave the blueprint on why. And if you pay attention recently, especially with rappers, that's all you see. It's a lot of sealed indictments going on. And maybe that's why he knew something was up, because when he got snatched up the first time, right, he probably got word from his attorney that there's a sealed indictment going on. Because your attorney will let you know that much, right? They have the rights to that. So at the end of the day, he probably already knew something was coming. If your name is in any type of sealed indictment, just know that them people are coming. You don't know when, you don't know where, you don't know what time, but just know at some point they're coming, right? Now also, the lyrics, the music, the lyrics, the videos, the battles, the everything. I tell y'all all the time, even though it's a situation where damn if you do, damn if you don't, because if you rapping about stuff you're not really doing, they're gonna call you corny, they're gonna call you fake, they're gonna call you whatever it is in a book. But if you are rapping about what you're doing and then you end up getting in trouble, they're still gonna call you slow, stupid, and say you did it to yourself. So it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. But to eliminate all that, just stop talking about illegal stuff, period, altogether.
But defense attorneys pushed back. They argued Tsu Surf was a storyteller, not a kingpin, that the government was criminalizing art, something the hip-hop world has long warned against. And yet, the indictment didn't hinge on music alone. Informants provided damaging testimony. Surveillance allegedly captured meetings. There was even mention of a gang hierarchy document recovered from a seized phone. The case highlighted a larger trend in federal prosecutions, using racketeering statutes to treat gangs like corporations, complex, organized, and vulnerable to insider collapse.
Can rap lyrics be used as evidence in court? If you're wondering whether rap lyrics can be used as evidence in a court of law, you're not alone. This question has sparked a lot of debate, especially in recent high-profile cases. Let's break it down. Rap lyrics can indeed be used as evidence, but there are some important conditions and controversies surrounding this practice.
Within the
Let me tell y'all something. They love to say that, right? You hear a whole bunch of people, oh, they can't use it in court, or maybe if you go to this town or this state, they can't use it, but if you go here, they can't. Dead all that noise, right? Because whether they can use it to convict you or not, it's enough to get you in that courtroom. And you also got to realize that their job, the prosecutor's job, is only to make you look bad to the grand jury. So whether it's used to convict you or not, it's still used as a tactic to get the grand jury to look at you in a certain type of light. So if you sitting there talking about, oh, I done spent this block, I done paid for this body to drop, I put 10 stacks on his head, whether it's used to actually convict you for the crime or not, that already puts something in the grand juror's mind. To where now they're like, well, maybe he just might. Right? If it quack like a duck, it's a duck. If it bark like a dog, it's a dog. If you sitting here telling me that you put money on people's heads in your songs, and then you're accused of putting money on somebody's head, what am I supposed to believe?
Indictment with chilling details, drug routes across state lines, extortion tactics against local businessmen, and even accusations of plotting violence against rival sets. This wasn't just about Tsu Surf. This was about legacy, territory, and control. And federal agents were determined to dismantle every layer of the criminal web. Indictment also revealed fractures within the Rolling 60s themselves. Some members had already flipped, cutting deals in exchange for lighter sentences and witness protection. For the streets, it was another reminder of how fragile the code was. Loyalty, once thought unbreakable, began to fade under the weight of federal pressure and mandatory minimums. Tsu Surf pleaded not guilty, but as the trial loomed, the questions piled up. Would he take a deal? Would he go to trial? And how much of the truth would be revealed in open court? Online, his supporters rallied with hashtags and interviews. Some believed he was being targeted for his influence. Others saw it as the inevitable outcome of straddling two worlds.
In hip-hop, I think that we're in a place right now where we really definitely had to, continue to have conversations and stick together, because we see people are now getting locked up for what they send in their music and all type of things that are going on. So, I mean, like, when it comes down to that, how you feel about that, Big U?
I'm gonna be, okay, I was just speaking on that because we're trying to put something together to address that. With all the, how they throwing around these RICOs now, it's just another form of chattel slavery. You start now to prosecute, charge these youngsters for ridiculous crimes that you would have never done before. Because we know that we can all be charged for murder right now, even though we know we're sitting right here in this moment, because it's about a trial of facts, seeing there's enough evidence. There's 1, 2 people say, nah, I seen him. That's enough to try you. But now a RICO is even less than that. A RICO doesn't require that. A RICO requires you haven't committed a crime and me just talking to you on the phone. And then somebody else saying, oh, that's what they was talking about, that crime. So it's less to do that. You got Surf and them just got picked up for a RICO, and I don't know if y'all know that. Yeah, in New Jersey.
It's legal.
Look at the pot calling the kettle black. Look at the pot calling the kettle black. Let me tell y'all, right? Don't be fooled by people saying things and sounding like they're making sense. And I'm gonna tell y'all why, right? He just said we seeing more than ever people are getting basically indicted because of their lyrics. You know why? It's not that they're just starting. It's because back in the days, we didn't have what we had now. Back in the days, drill rap wasn't where it's at now, right? You didn't have guys saying, oh, I'm gonna come spin your block. I done shot Danny. Danny fell on the floor. I stood over Danny. His man tried to come and get me. I shot his mans. You didn't have that. These days, that's what these kids are doing. So instead of talking and having the talks about incriminating lyrics, have talks with the rappers. Have talk with the, because these days it's like you have to put it in the song in order for it to be true. That's the problem. That's the problem at hand. And what's happening is it's playing right into the hands of the feds. So what they're doing now is, all right, well, in order to prosecute you on something we already have against you, let's also look at your lyrics. Not just your lyrics. Let's look at your IG lives. Let's look at your Facebook posts. Let's look at your Instagram story posts. Let's look in your DMs. So what happens now is it's not that they're just starting. They're seeing that, you know what, they're playing right into our hands. They're playing right into our hands. So why not get them? Right? I mean, if I was the feds, that's perfect for me. Yo, there's a kid that's from New York. There was a rapper. Because a lot of people feel that these feds and these guys don't have time to be on social media when they have task force for that. And they've been told us that they do have task force strictly for IG. But anyway, the kid was on Instagram Live and had about, I think, like 15 people that was viewing his live. And they said out of that 15, 10 of them were feds. 10. So for y'all that don't think they're watching. Stop putting incriminating things on social media. Simple.
Experts dissected the case on social media, podcasts, and live streams.
Yeah.
They debated whether Tsu Surf's celebrity would help or hurt him, whether the jury would see a man or a myth. The indictment also reignited conversations around criminal justice, racial profiling, and the blurred line between culture and crime. Was Tsu Surf guilty or just guilty of being from where he came from? As the trial date approached, more revelations emerged. Subpoenas, leaked documents, alleged recordings from jail phone calls. The noose was tightening. Federal prosecutors described the rolling 60s as a criminal enterprise that used fear, loyalty, and violence to maintain its grip. And Tsu Surf, they said, wasn't just in it, he was integral to it. But in court, nothing is ever guaranteed. Cases fall apart, witnesses recant, jurors surprise, and in the world of federal trials, narrative is everything. This, however, would place Tsu Surf sitting behind bars, which he would await the fight of his life, not on stage, not in front of a crowd, but in a courtroom, where freedom and legacy hang in the balance. This isn't just a story about gang indictments or hip-hop controversy. It's a story about choices, power, in the system that watches from the shadows, waiting to strike. Whether he walks free or is buried in the system, Tsu Surf's name will be etched into hip-hop and street history alike as either a cautionary tale or a misunderstood martyr. On November the 30th of 2023, he was sentenced to 60 months in prison for his role in the racketeering conspiracy and for possessing firearms and ammunition as a convicted felon. John Cox, aka Tsu Surf, 32 years old, of Newark, pled guilty before U.S. District Judge Susan D. Wigginton to 2 counts of a superseding indictment that charged him with Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, aka RICO, conspiracy in possession of firearms and ammunition by a convicted felon.
Now, to be honest with y'all, Tsu Surf actually got a break. He has a pretty extensive criminal history background, and yeah. So with all that being said, he was caught in the RICO. Then he had all those charges. He's a known gang member. They called him a shot caller, and he only got what? He said 60 months, which is crazy. Rolling 60s, 60 months, crazy. Anyway, that's about what? 5 years, right? Five and a half, yeah, like 5 years. So at the end of the day, he did get a break. 5 years sound like a long time, but opposed to the time he was supposed to receive for all the charges against him in his criminal history, he got a break. right? But this should be a lesson to him when he come home, man. Leave that stuff alone. I know it's easier said than done. And let me tell y'all, we also got to realize this. Some may say he's stupid. Oh, he's this, he had that. We don't know what he had. Realistically, right? Realistically, a lot of these guys, we think they have X, Y, and Z because we see them on TV. They flashing little jewelry, designer clothes, whatever it is. We don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. They could be struggling low key. Who knows? Right? It's a reason for everything. But then another thing is, some people may say he was involved, but he didn't do what they claimed he did, but he was a part of the RICO based on his position in the game. But then also, you have the don't snitch mentality, so he has to get caught up because he don't want to be the one telling. So it's a double entendre, man. Let me just tell y'all this, especially for the kids watching this, or some grown-ups that's still in the street. It's not worth it, right? Quit while you ahead. At the end of the day, if you got something good going, invest that money, get out the streets while you can, because if not, this could be a fate. Where you may have people that pass away while you're in jail, your kids get older while you're in jail, some people may even forget about you. That's the harsh realities of going to prison. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.